Did you miss me? Right, so over Christmas, computer said no, and so videos did not happen. I must have intuitioned that in my head because I sort of had a feeling something was going to happen. Anyway, the software is now working. So, new year, new us. We're going to start off nice and slow anyway. Just like to say thank you to everyone who's subscribing. Hi to everyone in classes. If you haven't watched the video with Dave yet on peng energy, do go back and watch that. And hi to new subscribers that aren't in classes. Anything you want to see, put it in the comments bit underneath. Obviously do the subscribey bit and stuff, you know. Anyway, we'll start off with really nice and slow. My classes have been really nice and slow, and actually I've quite enjoyed slowing it right down. So going to just do our Qigong introduction, Qigong Tai Chi type intro, just nice and slow with some nice easy movements today. So this should be really easy to follow today. So imagine your string from the ceiling, and from this string, which goes to the back of your head, you are suspended in a nice way, and this is your center of gravity, which you can move over to your right side, you can move over to your left side, you can keep it in the middle. This string and center is actually really important and does help the stepping and movement of Tai Chi. You can take nice deep breaths into the belly. And while you're starting to take nice deep breaths, so when you're beginning to do belly breathing, you might have to be more deliberate on moving the stomach muscles. So breathing in and then deliberately pushing the belly out. And as you breathe out, you're deliberately squeezing those muscles and pushing the air out, pushing the diaphragm up to push the air out of your lungs. Eventually it will become more natural. Sometimes you have to have that practice, breathing in and breathing out and just really pushing the belly in and out just to see where those muscles are. So while you start to concentrate on the breath, just relaxing the shoulders, imagining that there's a string or weight coming from the elbows, from each elbow, and this prevents you lifting the elbows up, because every time you lift them up, the weights pull them down. Relaxing into the hips, bending the knees. Most people in this week's classes have had achy legs, but that's a good thing because it means that you're building up muscle. When you build up muscle, you build up strength, stability. It's going to make balance and various other things much easier, balance and movement. Continue taking a nice deep breaths. And try and feel all the muscles relaxing, especially in the glutes. Tend to hold quite a bit in the glutes and we clench. So just try and release all of that. Let it hang. Release the stomach muscles and the back, shoulders, and everything in the face. And then we'll start with some breathing regulation. Breathing in, lifting up and expanding. Breathing out, contracting. And just trying to slow the breath further. Holding the moon, breathing in, breathing out, one hand on top of the ball, one hand under the ball. Breathing in, swapping sides, breathing out. Cloud hands. Hug a tree if you like. Sometimes it helps to visualize slightly different. Swap the hands. Turn from the waist. Keep the knees bent. And then sinking the chi. Breathing in. And out. One more. Take a few nice deep breaths. And relax. So, because the last video that I did was the peng energy, holding the ball, and because in classes, this is January, so it's beginner's month, I think we will do a bit more with the peng energy and cover a bit of what we've been doing in class. So part the horse's mane, I know we only did this a few weeks back, but it's really good to have a recap because a lot of movements, a lot of the forms begin from the ball. And it is quite important to have that ball away from the body. Remember when I had Dave, if I held him too close to the body, the energy would make him spring out of the front. If you don't know what I mean, that's the last video, so go and have a look at that one. It will be in the Tai Chi Tuesdays playlist. Maybe. Might be in the videos section. Anyway, so we've been doing part of the horse's mane this week, and which is bottom hand up, top hand down. And in the peng video, I showed you how this hand has to be in front of the shoulder, or not too much that way. It's okay to go a little bit. A, tenses the shoulder. As soon as you're tense, your energy is in the wrong place. It means that you can be unrooted. Secondly, if you go too far that way, your center, I was talking about at the beginning, moves from there, very slightly over it, very slightly shifts to allow that arm and shoulder to move that way. As soon as your energy shifts to one side, or your center shifts to one side, and you're not rooted anymore, somebody else can unroot you, and they would then, you would be on the floor basically, because they would use your energy. They would continue helping you move that way and knock you over. So again, if you're in classes, or if you do push hands, if you find a local class, for those that aren't near me, they'll do, quite often they'll do push hands, not always, for yang. And in that there'll be exercises. I hope to video some of these at some point. Exercises to show the push hands, and it shows you where your center is, whether you're rooted, unrooted, and whether you're tense. Before COVID, when I used to do push hands, when everyone was a bit more comfortable being, quite close to each other, it was a really good way of showing people how tense they were in this lower part of the arm and the wrist. And I think that's probably going to happen again. So for the part of the horse's mane, we're holding the ball, the bottom hand goes up and the top hand goes down. This top hand will finish in front of the hip, just in front, like that. What can happen is when people do part of the horse's mane, they swing this hand all the way back like that. As soon as you do that, again, tensing the muscles, and you tend to turn a little bit, which means you're then moving your center again. You're moving your energy a slightly different direction, and it's not forward. Even in this position, just taking that just past my hip line, I can feel my body automatically, my hips automatically starting to turn this way to compensate for the hand coming this way. So keep that hand in front of the hip, top hand, palm facing the shoulder. So this movement in terms of martial arts and applications would generally be used for, let's say somebody was coming in this side and they were going to punch me, grab their hand on top, and I would step behind their hip with my hip. If you've done any martial arts at all, you would have learnt about pivot points at the hip. And as you turn and move your center from, for me, it would be from my right leg to my left leg, you're also hooking this arm under their armpit. So this is the arm you've grabbed, and you're hooking under the armpit and across the chest. So this hand, if it was across somebody else, would essentially be under the armpit and across here like that. And because your pivot point is behind theirs, behind their hip, and you've got a good strong stance, they would end up over your knee on the floor. Doesn't matter what size they are. If you do this right, it will work. If you're interested in more martial arty things and applications, go and visit a local karate club, because there is nothing better than in-person teaching. There are a few online places, but you don't really get to see or feel the usefulness of some of these movements. So, going back to correct movement. So we've done a lot of Tai Chi walking and rooted stepping. And in the classes this week, we did a lot of rooted stepping with this movement, with the part of the horse's main movement. If I was facing 9 o'clock and I had my ball, I would step across my square, because my square is to my heels, remember? And step across my square, heel first. Because my centre, remember what I said about the centre at the start, is over my right side, I can still face this way, put my toes down, like the Tai Chi walking, toes go down, but there's no weight on there. Then I turn and I swap the hands at the same time. And this is where, when we've been talking about rooted stepping, I say about keeping that weight forward. So you've moved your centre, and think of this as your centre rather than weight. So I've now moved my centre from my right leg to my left leg. My right leg is now empty, so I can pick it up, move it, there's no weight in it. And I'm going to turn, lift up the heel to turn it. Now, but to be rooted in Tai Chi, that heel has to be connected to the floor, and it has to be rooted through the floor. And what people tend to do is to be able to root that foot down, they move the weight back. So if I show you from it's probably easier to show you from the side. I'll do my turn and I'll lift up that back heel, and what happens is heel goes down, body goes back with it. It's very subtle. You see that weight move back, but it now means that my weight is in the center. It's 50-50. There's only 50% on the front leg, 50 on the back, and I can feel that. So in order to be really rooted, you step back, your center, think of this as centers, right leg, the toes go down, and then moving your center over your left leg. My heel lifts up, and then instead of moving my whole body to allow that heel to go down, I'm going to sink and allow my heel to push through the floor, and I still have my center mostly over my left leg. 70 on the front, 30 on the back, and I can push through that back heel to be really strong in the floor. So rooting down through the floor is really quite important, and I'm doing that quite a lot in the classes. So if you've been to a class, you will see that I'm doing quite a lot of that this year. If you haven't, then you're going to see it in the videos. So the part of the horse's mane, I'll go sideways because then it's going to be easier for you to see. Stepping back across my square, my center still over my right leg, toes go down, and then as I turn, everything moves together. Remember, in Tai Chi, everything moves at the same time. Body as one. So I'm moving my center, and at the same time, these hands are swapping. Lifting the back foot, and then sinking to root that foot in. This gives you really good stance. You can see I've got that line from the back of the heel to the top of the head, and I feel really strong. If I go, I'll go your direction. So we'll hold the ball with the left hand underneath. This is now 12 o'clock. 3 o'clock's that way, 9 o'clock is that way. And if we say we're going to turn to 9 o'clock, and think about, again, maybe start with feet shoulder width apart and think about where that center line is. So my string from the ceiling centre of the head. My centre is in the middle. I'm going to shift the centre very slightly so it's over to the right side. There's now no weight on this left leg and it's called empty. My right leg is full. I step back across my square. The heel is down and I point the toes to 9. I move my centre over to my left side and leg, while at the same time moving the hands. Lift the heel and then sink to touch the heel to the floor. And this is the position roughly that it should be in. Really good to do this in front of a mirror, a full length mirror. And if you find that your position is like that, you've what's called broken at the hips. That spine has to stay neutral because it gives that forward power that you would need in order to push that person or turn their own energy over the knee and onto the floor. Do it again to 3 o'clock. So there's always exceptions to the rule, the exception being if you start brush knee push from a ball, but usually the hand that's under the ball is the direction that you're turning. So it's right hand under the ball. Remember, we're holding the ball away from the body on the poles, the top pole, south pole, north, south. If you hold it too close, pings out. So we're holding this ball, space in the armpits, step across your square. My centre, I've moved over to my left side. My right foot is empty. Heel, then toe. Turn, moving your centre over to your right foot. Lift the heel. Sink down to push the heel through the floor. My right leg is now full, and my back leg is not quite empty, but, you know, almost, because it's 70-30. Extend this elbow away from the body. So in part the horse's mane, see quite a lot of people with their elbow tucked in or very close. Like this, need to extend it away. If you imagine trying to do this movement with your hand underneath somebody's armpit and across their chest, if your arm is closed in like this, and then you grab their arm, you're going to brush their armpit with your fingers if your arm is tucked in. You need this extension to cover as much surface area across their chest as possible to get them to move over your knee. Always have a bit of a bend on the elbow, whichever movement, and the same with the knees. Nothing is ever locked out anymore, even in normal martial arts. Everything always has a little bend. Prevents damage to joints. So that's all we're going to end up doing this week. And that is also a very condensed lesson compared to what I've done in class. So I hope you enjoyed that. I'm going to move this very slowly forward through January, February, the same as I've been doing in my in-class sessions. We'll still be a bit more compact, but I'll try and get as much information in as I can in these sort of mini lessons for you. We'll just do a bit of calming the chi to finish. So feet shoulder width apart, root through the floor. Your centre is now in the middle. Shoulders relaxed. Nice deep breaths. Breathing in, lifting up. Breathing out. Breathing in. Breathing out. close with the left. Have a calm and mindful week, and I will see you next week as long as my computer continues to work. Thank you and see you later. Bye.